Is Dune 2021 worth it on 4K? Is it worth the hype? Well, let's talk about it. What is up, everybody? I am Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel, and today we will be doing another review. Today we're going to be talking about 2021's Dune on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. Okay, starting off, let's take a look at the packaging. Dune comes in this very nice slipcover. I personally don't like the artwork. It's just oh, look at all these A-list actors that we have on this film. It comes with the 4K, the standard Blu-ray, and a digital code. Here is the back, some of the same stuff. You got some screenshots, over an hour of bonus content. When you take off the slip cover, it is the same as well on the spine and the back. When I first looked at these discs, I'm a sucker for disc art, and when I first saw the disc, I was like, what is this bullshit? Like, what is this poopy brown? But then if you take a closer look, it's like debossed with like this design on it, and it looks really cool, like sand dune, like how aliens leave crop dusting or crop whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. But it has this cool design on it which piqued my interest. It's a bit hard to see on camera, but trust me, it looks pretty good. Now, there is no extras on the 4K. Most of the extras you're going to find on the standard Blu-ray. Again, as it stated, there is over an hour of bonus footage. So there is a bunch of stuff, a bunch of bonuses on the standard Blu-ray. But again, they wanted to fill as much space on the 4K for the quality. Now let's talk about the 4K itself. This movie was filmed on IMAX, and what's crazy is it was shot digitally at 4.5K and then transferred to 35mm film and then scanned again at digital. Very weird, but it does have a 4K DI, which is actually crazy to think about. So again, it is a 2160p disc. It is 155 minutes, and it is using Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. First off, I want to state that a lot of people are giving these 10 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s, must own, you must get this right now, it is worth the hype. Honestly, now, don't crucify me for this. Everyone has their own opinion. I came into this movie thinking otherwise. First off, I want to state there is grain in this. There is quite a bit of grain. It's not too discernible. You know, as a person who likes film grain, who likes movies made on film, I don't seem to mind it. But, you know, if you're coming in expecting a clean, super sharp film, you are not gonna get it. There's also certain little specks of film degradation, like, you know, when you're watching an older film and there's like these little black specks and speckles throughout the movie. It's not that noticeable, but I did notice it a few times when I was pixel peeping. But again, this is a 4K film shot in 4.5K with a 4K DI, so you're gonna get that great detail. Close-up shots are absolutely amazing. People's beard hair, you can pick out each individual hair follicle. Wrinkles are great. You know, dirt, the sand, you can tell the sand. You can see each individual grain of sand. There's one scene where they ran away from the big worm, and you can see like the sweat beads in their hair. It just, detail is great. It's a very sharp film. There's also good depth, so discerning from the front to the back. There is not going to be that many soft shots, so you don't have to worry about this. This movie was beautifully made by Denis Villeneuve. You know, such things as Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival and Sicario, so you know he knows his way around a camera. You know his direction is great. You know, it's beautifully well done, so the 4K just services it very well. A lot of good shots, a lot of amazing shots. And what's cool is that because it's a 4K DI, the CGI, I would say, in my opinion, this is the best looking CGI I've ever seen on home video. It reminded me of Blade Runner 1, like some of the wide shots of like scenery that are not obviously, but they're CGI, computer generated, like buildings and landscapes. They look so good. I almost thought it was miniatures because of how great it looks. So image quality, I would give a 8 out of 10. Next, we're going to be talking about the HDR. And I think this is where it lacks a little bit. I mean, it does justice for HDR. There is decent black levels, but there is quite a bit of crushing blacks when it comes to details. Things such as black clothing, but you can't really see that. The black levels are a bit crushing. They're good. What I didn't like about the direction of this film, be warned when you're watching this at night with the lights off, there are scenes that are very dark, that close your pupil, that close the aperture of your pupil, and then all of a sudden it cuts to these really, really bright scenes, and it hurt my eyes. Now I'm a bit tired, but it kind of annoyed me a lot. There was a lot of scenes where it's very dark, and then all of a sudden it cuts to a very bright scene, and I was like squinting throughout some of the movie, and I don't want to squint throughout some of the movie, so that's a bit of a thing. If you don't like that, it's gonna affect you a bit. It affected me a bit throughout the movie watching experience. But again, a lot of the movie takes place on Dune, on the desert planet, so there's not going to be that much of a wide color gamut. It picks up near around an hour and 20 minutes into it. That's when it really kicks off. Like, that's why I was a bit disappointed with this 4K transfer, is that it gets really good. It gets near demo quality, but those, for the first hour and 10 minutes, was a bit lackluster. Obviously, I got the nice detail and the close-ups were really nice. It's just, I'm a sucker for HDR. I love HDR. I love colors, and you don't really get this with this first hour. So I was writing down my reviews thinking, damn, this is a bit of a letdown. This is really overhyped. But, so spoiler alert, this is a part of the review, but when the Emperor comes and attacks Paul's father and just the planet, those explosion scenes look really good. That's when it picks up. When they're wearing the armor, when it goes from blue to red, that looks really good. I know when the ship is shooting at the laser, it's this very vibrant blue, and it's surrounded by, the chaos of fire. So those scenes look really good. HDR picks up, but it just picks up so late in the movie, an hour and almost 20 minutes into the film. That's when it picks up, and that, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you grab the attention. Obviously the CGI looks great. The HDR is great when it is great. It's just, I feel like it's the same thing when it comes to not Green Knight, but when it comes to The Last Duel. I love The Last Duel. It was a great 4K, but it's just the HDR has to come sooner, and it has to grip you. But again, that's the art direction for this film. It's trying to subject this imagery of dehydration, and it's a desert, right? You're not going to see vibrant colors in the desert. It's going to be one solid color. But again, HDR picks up halfway through. Explosions look pretty practical. You can see the highlights of oranges, yellows, and reds in the explosions. I love explosions, so when you can see it in HDR and 4K, they look absolutely good. Fire looks great. There's more depth to the fire. So if it's not practical fire and it's not practical effects when it comes to those things, I'm gonna be absolutely amazed. If it is, then it's a great film. But yeah, it's able to convey that practical effect feel while being totally CGI. There's around 1 hour and 42 minutes. I have this clip right here. There's they're in that sand pit thing, and there's this old red overtone that looks great. The worm looks great. The worm looks really good. A lot of the CGI, again, is absolutely amazing. So HDR gets about a 7 out of 10. I just feel like it comes a little too late, but when it comes, it's very good. But just that first hour and 20 minutes, it leaves much to desire, especially from coming in blind. I didn't see this movie in the theaters. My first time watching it is on 4K Blu-ray. Next, we're going to be talking about the sound. This is a 7.1 audio track, Dolby Atmos track, as well as on the 4K and on the Blu-ray. It's kind of weird. This audio track is great. The audio direction is great. It's just, it was a bit wonky at certain parts. Certain audio dialogue sounds like it's like that first scene when Paul is talking to Lady Jessica. You'll hear this, "How you doing?" and then it just cuts. like the audio just cuts to remove noise. It kind of sounds like that. ADR kind of sounds very obvious. If you have a good sound system, it sounds very obvious. When they're doing that voice, you know, that that voice, that sounds great. There's a lot of, it resonates deeply with bass and stuff, so that's gonna sound good on your subwoofer. The soundtrack as well sounds really great. There's highlights. There's also deep bass tones within the soundtrack, certain sound effects to convey a massive feel, and it's going to give you that theater audio at home. But yeah, certain scenes, it sounds too clean, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like if they're in the middle of like a sandstorm or something, and it's the wind is very quiet and you can clearly hear their voices. They try to explain something where it's like there's like an audio thing when he's talking to the Emperor. But besides that, if some certain scenes sound too clean, and in scene 6 when the hunter seeker is trying to attack Timothée Chalamet's character Paul, it was so piercing. It actually hurt my ears. My ears started to ring because of how piercing it was. I think they were trying to go for that sound design. It just hurt my ears a lot. So be warned, in scene 6, the hunter seekers, they sound very, very annoying. I mean, I guess he's supposed to convey that. But yeah, the sound design is great. When people are walking on sand in the desert, you can hear that nice, soft patter of footsteps on sand, and I love that. It sounds very nice and pitter-pattery. Punching, when people get punched with like the armor suit on, it has like a roar type of noise to it, and it sounds very cool. Especially with the wind whistling, whooshing by, that sounds great. But my one of my main problems with this movie is that a lot of people muffle their sounds, or they have weird accents to where you can't really tell what they're saying. Maybe if I give this a second viewing, I know what they're saying. But sometimes I feel like I need to have subtitles on because I couldn't understand what people were saying. But overall, this is definitely worth the pickup, worth the hype. Everybody calling this the best transfer of the year so far. I mean, it's too early to decide. I felt like I was a bit underwhelmed by this transfer, at least for the first half. It's still a great looking 4K. It's just what I was expecting, this very clean 6.5K, image quality, very clean, crispy. You don't really get that. Again, if you're a film grain hater, if you can't stand film grain, you're not gonna like this because there is quite a bit of grain. But yeah, the film grain is a bit on the heavier side, more than what I was expecting, especially for a 2021 movie. But I guess that kind of, because it's shot on 4.5K and then projected onto 35 millimeter film and then rescanned in 4K, which is a bit weird. I think it helps when it comes to the CGI. Again, going back, the CGI looks absolutely amazing. This is the best CGI looks on home video. So to recap, image quality is great. Sharpness is great. It's not going to be the cleanest film. Again, there is film grain. There is certain film degradations from being projected onto 35 millimeter film. There is great depth, and the CGI looks absolutely amazing. It looks super realistic. It looks almost practical at this point. One of the biggest bummers is the HDR. As I said before, there's good black levels. Some of it's a bit crushing. There's not that wide of a color gamut that I wanted throughout the entire movie. You're gonna get that the second half, but the first hour and 20 minutes is a bit lackluster when it comes to the HDR. Explosions look great, and reds look absolutely amazing, as well as blues when they do appear. When it comes to sound, it is great. As I said before, great depth, great detail, great bass. It's going to work out your subwoofer and everything. So if I had to give a score for image quality, I would say it is a 7 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. HDR is a 7 out of 10, and audio is a 8.5 out of 10. Overall, I would give this 4K a I would give this an 8 out of 10. It is a highly recommend. If you like Dune, the story was actually pretty good too. The dialogue was a bit weird. It was a bit wonky. Like if you've seen that interview with Mark Hamill on how he describes the original like dialogue for Star Wars. He's like, oh, it's very sciencey. That's basically how this is here in Dune. But it's a great film. I highly recommend everyone pick this up. But again, if you're expecting the cleanest, sharpest, best HDR, best sharpness, best clean looking 2021 film, you're not gonna get that. But this reminded me a lot of Blade Runner, and it's funnily enough made by the same guy who made Blade Runner 2021. So I got a lot of Blade Runner vibes, especially that first intro where it shows the shots of the city, but I do prefer that over this. Anyways, yeah, so 8 out of 10, highly recommend. But come into this 4K with a grain of salt. I would say a lot of people are really hyping this up. It is definitely worth the hype, especially for being a modern release on 4K. It's not the greatest thing ever made. You know, Green Knight was better, Last Duel was better. After this movie is into fruition, this is a beautifully shot, beautifully made, is artistically made film, and it is definitely worth the 4K. So that was my review of Dune on 4K. Let me know down below, what did you guys think? Did you guys pick it up on 4K? Did some of you watch it in IMAX and then watch it on 4K? Let me know down below. Can you tell the differences? Is it better? I know it's filmed on IMAX, but the aspect ratio I didn't notice. I didn't really notice the aspect ratio is changing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching another video of mine. I am Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel. Please have a good day, night, evening, afternoon. Whenever you're watching this, please stay safe. God bless and cheers, guys. Dune 2021. Long live physical media.